First off, I want to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the mercy of the grand predecessors, and everyone here to talk about this truth and illusion. Yeah, it's the subtitles are supposed to be it's holy teacher's words, but we'll get to that. First, we'll talk about, well, try to understand what is truth and what is illusion. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, you can also say that truth is something that's, I don't know, absolute, I guess. Absolute, because it's unchanging, right? Illusion is anything that can change and disappear or whatever. So you can say it's relative, right? Things that are relative. Okay. So, this is an MC Escher's drawing, one of his drawings. Okay, so he likes to draw this type of stuff, right?
Is that underworld?
So no, this is not the underworld.
Talks about
No, it's just
illusion. Yeah, you could
it's
say
kind of
different
like
dimensions.
yeah, different.
Okay.
So it's like which way is up here?
Yeah,
It's like
Can't tell.
all you have different way up.
So
Is
it's
it
relative.
is it is it that way?
Harry
This
Potter.
guy-
Is it an honest?
Harry Potter.
yeah, he's
Oh, Harry Potter.
Harry Potter?
Harry Potter did the same.
Really?
or it's this way. These guys are up
Even
for
I
him,
don't know anything.
right? And then those guys for that it's up over there, right? So what is up? I mean, it's all relative, right? So it depends on where you are. Your frame of, in physics, I say the frame of reference. Okay, so now, of course, our world isn't like this, right? Thankfully, it's not crazy like this where we have to figure out, for us, it seems like it's all, it's flat. I mean, we all have that same view, but actually it is kind of like this, just on a bigger scale, right? We don't experience it directly. We live on a sphere, planet is round, and so because it's so big, we don't see the difference. Right? We don't see that. We think it's flat, right, around us. But if we take a higher view, we see it's round. And of course, you get in a plane, you'll notice you can see the curvature of the Earth. But here, the same problem, right? Up is where's up? It's all over. It depends on where you are. Okay, so actually, we were in New Zealand. We visited that place where they said the cars can roll uphill, right?
Yeah, even though it looks like it's
yeah,
downhill.
it looks like
It's downhill.
It's an illusion. It's an illusion.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
so I mean, it looks like there's a slope, but then the cars kind of
going up
go
the
the other
hill.
way. They roll
By
up the other
itself.
way by without under.
Was it scary?
It's just kind of weird.
It's kind of weird. It kind of looks like that. But then I say, well, just look at the trees. The trees are going to grow straight,
Right.
and so you notice that there is an angle between the trees and the ground. So you notice that then
It's a
what we're
slight-
seeing is kind of an illusion, okay, because of the way that the terrain is laid out. No, it's just the natural terrain.
It's in
it's
a
the-
forest something.
It's
a
like a
boony something.
forest up in,
Oh,
there,
that's
up in a
somebody's
mountain.
No,
no.
this is a natural spot supposedly. they
Yeah.
say.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It defies gravity. Or
Yeah. Apparently, I think in California there's a spot like that too.
No,
but-
trees are still upright.
Yeah,
but
they-
you notice it's probably not 90 degrees.
Right, they won't be 90 degrees to the ground, perpendicular. They'll be at an angle, so that tells you that they're going to grow straight according to what
Yeah.
gravity is. So you can tell from that. Okay, but everything in this universe, right? Even according to what Einstein's theory of relativity, everything is relative. Everything, there's no absolute frame of reference, and scientists cannot pinpoint where is the center of the universe.
Yeah.
There is no center, right? Even though there's a Big Bang, but they don't know, where's the center? Okay, so now obviously on our planet, we can say, oh, where's the center? I mean, you can say the center of the Earth in the core, but we're on the surface. So,
Copernicus, right?
What?
He said the
Oh, yeah.
sun is the center.
Well,
Yeah, as opposed to Ptolemy. Yeah, Ptolemy said, Earth is the center,
Yeah, the
right?
center.
That's Ptolemy.
Right.
Ptolemy's,
yeah,
theory.
so it's all matter of perspective,
Yeah.
right? It's perspective, where you are and what how you perceive things. Now we also experience time as relative too, and that's also part of the theory of relativity. Like we sometimes 5 minutes may seem like 10 minutes, or it might seem like 1 minute. Okay, right? So time is relative too. So there's no absolute, and even like in relativity, the twin paradox you might have heard of, right? So basically, you have twins, right? Obviously, same age. One flies off in a spaceship in close to the speed of light, and when he comes back, he's much younger than the one who's on Earth who aged what we say normally, the other aged slowly. You see this in the movie Interstellar. Okay,
Yeah,
they kind of
yeah.
depicted that. But anyways,
McConaughey, right?
Yeah.
And his daughter.
but
right?
anyways, yeah. So that's so they're saying that everything.
You've seen the
Is
movie?
that a new movie?
No,
No,
it's been
only
out.
5 years, 4
It's been
5
out
years
within
ago.
the last few years.
Actress
What's
Anne
the name?
Hathaway.
Interstellar.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I have heard of
Yeah,
this
it's like they
movie.
go through.
It's very
Well,
interesting.
kind of visit a black hole.
It's
But
okay.
anyways,
It's okay.
Why don't you watch the same movies?
I don't want.
You coordinate with
No.
each other.
all right.
Turn it on now.
So the point here is that all of space and time is relative. Okay, so everything that we can experience in this universe is relative, right? So in that sense, you can say it can all be illusory. Okay.
Because it's not fixed.
Yeah, it's not.
constant.
There's no absolute frame of reference,
Right,
right?
it's
So
not.
we can't take an absolute view. Now, the only absolute view you can say is from that true reality, from God's view,
Right, from the Dharma
God,
Dhatu
or the
view.
Buddha's view.
Right.
They see everything as it is.
Right, from the Li Tian,
Yeah.
you could say from the Li
Yeah,
Tian,
it's
or
from the
Shen Tian,
highest-
you could say Shen
The
Tian.
Dharma Dhatu, yeah.
Or you can say 究竟界, right?
Yeah, it's-
究竟界 means
the-
absolute.
you can say the
absolute heaven,
absolute
whatever, absolute
Realm, absolute, right. Okay, so we are all subject to that. So being sentient beings in this world, we are subject to these possible illusions. All right, so, all right, what's next? Oh, okay, here. So, but of course, if we are on a flat Earth, right, then of course, the up is, there's only one up, it's up same everywhere. But, we don't live in such a world. All right, so, let's see. Okay, so talking about illusions, right? Illusion of size,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right?
The yellow dots.
Those yellow
right.
dots, right? This looks bigger, doesn't
Yeah, but actually they're the same.
They're the same.
it? Right?
No.
Yes,
they
they
are.
are. They
Yes,
are.
they are.
You
Oh,
measure it. Time. Use a
The
ruler.
longer you look at it,
Use a ruler. Use a
The
ruler.
longer you look at it.
Use a
And that
ruler.
one is brighter than the one on the right.
No, the one on the right looks bigger. You're right.
So this is an optical illusion,
Yeah.
obviously.
that's still bigger.
So
Measure it.
yeah, so okay, so yeah, even despite the fact that I draw these parallel lines and show you that they are the same size,
Yeah, see?
okay, but you still see them as this one as being bigger. So it's interesting that despite knowing that they're the same size, but we still see them
look- yeah.
different. Okay, so that's interesting. The problem is for us, we tend to compare things. Okay, as humans, maybe animals too. Sentient beings like to compare, like make comparisons between things, and it's because of that comparison that you see this one as bigger because we're comparing to these smaller things, whereas this one's comparing to something bigger,
Right.
and therefore relatively it looks that way. But this is dangerous. So this kind of distorts our view of things. Okay, so we don't see the true reality. Here's another example where those lines they don't look parallel, right? They're kind of slanted. They look kind of slanted either way. Okay, so again, this is
Oh, you saying the squares look different size?
No,
different
the
size?
No, the parallels
Oh,
are.
oh, oh,
are not. They don't look parallel.
But they are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
are
are.
parallel. Okay, we know they're parallel, but
It's very dizzy.
it's but it's not.
Right.
Okay.
The lines are the same. It's
So,
the squares are moving.
So basically, that's the illusion of shape. Okay. Basically, the other one's illusion of size.
Right.
And then shape again. This illusion of shape, despite the fact that it looks like it's tilted,
Right.
Looks tilted.
Actually,
but it's
It's not.
they're actually.
even though I
What?
point out the fact
Parallel?
that they're supposed to be parallel, but it looks
No,
tilted.
the two lines are parallel, but is one end higher than the other? No, right? They're the same. Same distance. No,
It's
look
the
at the
same.
vertical.
It's
No,
parallel.
vertical distance. I'm not talking about.
It's
It
the
looks
same.
like it's crooked.
Yeah, it looks like
But it's
the left
not.
side is higher than the right side. right?
yeah,
But it's
right
not.
side looks like it's
Yeah.
coming down,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So
pretty
again,
interesting. Yeah.
this is these have to do with visual cues and things like that. But so yeah, that's it's interesting that our senses can be fooled.
Yeah.
Okay, so this
They're unreliable.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
you can say it's unreliable. I mean, even though we know for a fact
Right.
that it's supposed to be one way, but then we still see it the other way, see it something else. Okay, so that's that's what we call an illusion.
Magic tricks. Yeah.
So the danger is that we believe what we see, or we believe what we hear.
Yeah.
Right? All our senses can be fooled, and so if we believe what we see, then that can be very dangerous.
Yeah, well, you could be misled.
Yeah, you can be misled, right? Okay. Now that not only applies to our physical senses, but our mind as well, right? Our mind can be fooled. Actually, all of this ultimately is in our mind that's perceiving this. And so if our thoughts, right, may not be accurate or correct, and but we believe them, then we become delusional. Okay, so that's a danger. That's a very big danger that we become delusional. All right.
Yep.
So that's why. All right. Here's another one. This is kind of illusion of, you can say, spatial color, right?
Sensing.
The dots look
What,
like
density?
black and white.
How many
No,
black dots are there?
density.
How many black dots are there at the intersections? Okay.
None.
Oh my. It looks
They're all
black.
white dots.
They're all white.
Yeah, as you look around, the black dots appear. Okay, so.
Oh, right.
So this is again another illusion, again having to do with the colors in the background.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Dizzying.
No, because our eyes tend to fill in the blank.
Yeah,
or
it
fill in
tries
the
to,
gap
right.
with the surrounding colors. So since the surrounding colors are all black, that white dots, the eye perceive that, oh, it's also black. You get it?
Right.
But it's not.
yeah,
Very interesting, huh? Optical illusion.
yeah. Our eyes try to predict our senses. Our mind tries to predict what it's, and so by doing that, it creates these illusions. So actually, so all these illusions are happening in our mind. Okay, it's not the fact that there are no black dots. Okay, so basically, yeah, we can say on a different level though, we can say all these forms are illusory because they're changeable and they're not, they're impermanent. Okay, but the most important thing that we're talking about right now is that illusion of the mind. Okay, all right. Oh, okay. Now, so the illusion of phenomena experience. All right. So our experience. Okay. So this illusion of our senses. Again, it's not something that we pick up, right? That we didn't learn it. Even a baby will see these illusions. Okay. So it's not something that we just pick up in this life. So that's kind of like an inherent thing that's built in. You might say it's like a deficiency or flaw in either our mind or the brain. Some people might say it's how our brain is wired up. So that deficiency then affects how we experience things, how we perceive things. Okay. So it's all conditional. It's very conditioned on the environment and what we see, right? And therefore it becomes subjective too. Especially in our mind, because we don't have that absolute frame of mind within our mind itself. So everything becomes all relative, right? So, have you ever experienced something like a phantom, something that you see, or a phantom hear, phantom sound, right? I think, sometimes I thought I heard my phone ring or I heard something, but then it's like it didn't. So it's kind of weird. It's our mind are playing tricks on us. Okay, so that happens all the time. So that's why we have to be careful. We have to understand that we are flawed in that sense. We have that deficiency, and so we cannot be sure that we are always correct. All right, that we're always right. All right. So. See, so all forms are relative, right? They're changeable and impermanent, right? That's something that we have to recognize, and that you can say that in this illusion there are these truths, which are these principles, right? That we understand, that we make relative comparisons, right? Because there's nothing absolute that we can compare to, right? So everything is relative to something else that's also relative. Okay, so it's kind of hard to get to the truth from that. We also abide in the four images or marks of existence. Okay, so that's something that I'll get to, which is these, right? The self, the ego, or the personality, which is a differentiation with others. Subject, object, duality, sentient beings, which is constituted by the five skandhas, what I'll talk about next, and what we consider to be a lifetime.
Yeah, it means lifespan.
Yeah,
That
lifetime.
deals with the spatial.
Yeah.
aspect. Sorry, the
A
temporal
time.
aspect.
Yeah, there's a certain time associated with that life.
So even time is an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah, even physicists are saying that,
Well,
maybe
quantum
time is
mechanics,
illusion.
Yeah, quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
time is
So,
you know, false.
but,
Whatever, it
okay.
doesn't make sense.
so these, right, so the 5 skandhas, okay, so, yeah, the 5 skandhas is very important, all right, which I'll talk about next. Let's see, okay. So also, we buy in 3 minds, right? These are Buddhist concepts, the past, present, and the future, right?
Temporal.
So this is the temporal aspect, like we kind of focus or are stuck in a certain time, like the past. A lot of people get stuck in the past, right? That's all, they relive the past constantly, and they don't move forward, okay? Or some people are stuck in the future, you know, things like that. So these are things that cause us to have a distorted view, if you will, of the world around us, okay? Illusory. All right, so the illusion of being, right? So the sentient beings are comprised of the 5 skandhas, right? It's very important to understand this. 5 skandhas, okay. How come this thing is not responding? Okay. Form, right? The first one is the form object, which is basically subject object. Okay, so this is the physical, the form. We're talking about the form. So whether objects or light or anything that's external, and then our sense perception organs. Okay. So that's or as a whole, our self, our body, okay.
It's like phenomenon, right?
Yeah, that's the phenomenal stuff, the forms, yeah. The second step, okay, so you have these 2, and then you have the sensation feeling. This is the interaction, the first interaction between the subject and object, okay. So the light hitting our eyes, the sound waves hitting our eardrums, okay. That is that interaction. And then also, basically from there, right, it registers, there's a signal that goes to our brain, and we register something, okay? So that, like we see, there's light, there's dark, or we sense temperature,
cold.
yeah, something like that, all right?
Hard, soft.
So
yeah.
that's the very lowest level
Solid,
of
yeah.
awareness, all right? The very lowest level of awareness. All right, and then next comes perception, what we call perception. Okay, so that sensation feeling, that step in the process is basically saying that we kind of are aware of the what it is, okay, kind of at the very lowest level. The next level up then is also what, we recognize what it is, the more we kind of distinguish. And then we can kind of basically distinguishing, we make comparisons in our mind, I guess. And it's a more detailed recognition of what it is. Okay, so besides being light, we see, oh, there's a particular color, or how bright it is, okay? Or we can see shapes and forms, etc., right? Okay, then,
Well, that's when ideas started.
well,
forming.
no, not yet. That's still, okay, so basically, you know, at that perception level distinction, we start perceiving the various qualities or properties of the first part, the sensation, right? Then get to the mental formations. Okay, so even here, it's not really thoughts yet. Okay, this is things like and dislike. It's like you get a feeling, right? It's not really, you have to think about it. Oh, I like this or I don't like that. It's just immediate. It's almost
So what? That's like a
like
reaction.
yeah. This leads to a reaction. Okay, so that's why it's called impulse, right? Intention.
Intention.
Intention is something that
Volition, will.
you haven't yet done something yet, but you feel like you want to do something. Okay, so basically you can say it's like forming an opinion or a subjective view of the object, of our perception, right? And then this can give rise to intention, which then results in some kind of reaction. Okay, so like the light, we turn on the light, and it's so bright that okay, we close our eyes. Okay, so that would be at this level. And then the next would be the consciousness or cognition level, which is the highest level. Then this is where thoughts start forming. Okay, so you say, oh, this doesn't feel comfortable, right? And so you start thinking, what am I going to do? I can go do something about it, right? So this is what we call the 5 skandhas, and the 5 skandhas basically, according to Buddha, this is sentient beings. This is what makes them sentient beings. Okay, all right.
Well, that's what reality.
Well, from a sentient
being
being's
is.
point of view, this is their reality. This is
Right.
how they perceive the reality. Okay, and like we were talking about earlier, this is an illusion of being. Okay, so actually, doesn't exist.
Well, that's because we think this is all real.
Yeah,
So
right.
We should know that this is all because of these steps. Not these steps because these are all not real because there's just nothing to do. I mean, it's just our interaction with the phenomenon.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah, the thing is, our body is also phenomena. Okay, so everything is phenomena. All right, and okay, so this is the process that gives rise to craving, attachment, karma, and samsara. Okay, so that's what Buddha says. You know, because of this, because we go through this process and we attach to it, we believe it's real, and therefore gives, you know, we have desires, we have craving, we have attachments, and we create karma, and as a result,
dislike.
you know, there's reincarnation, karma, samsara, right?
She said. You know,
So,
yeah.
So here's a question: what if a person doesn't have like sight, or they can't
Yeah,
hear,
right,
or
right.
what about those people?
Or blind, yeah.
Yeah.
Do they still have the scandals?
Well, obviously, okay.
Ears.
They only have one half of this first one, right? The subject part. They don't view the object. Sensation. I don't know. They may not see that.
Well, Buddha asked
No,
Ananda
no,
that
no.
question because suppose you're blind, right?
Right.
So what does the blind person see? He sees not light, darkness.
He
So
sees
he
darkness.
sees
Yeah, so he does perceive something, okay, but definitely they still have some kind of perception, and you know, at the higher levels. So what they see, what they hear, is something else. I mean, only they know, but it's not, may not necessarily be coming from the outside per se. Okay, so it can be all just formed in the mind themselves. Okay, by
It may
themselves.
not be objective,
Right.
As
But-
we would call it. Yeah,
Well, it wouldn't be objective either. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
it's not objective, right?
Right.
I remember Helen Keller, who is blind.
Right,
And
blind, deaf.
She felt water from her field.
Yeah, you can still
and-
feel it. You
yeah.
still
And
sense
Oh, you
then
can still
she
sense.
has
Yeah.
much,
perception.
I mean, she has much more profundity in her observation
right.
of
Yeah,
the world.
yeah, because we rely too much on our senses,
Correct.
and we kind of become lazy, if you will, and so those people who have like limited senses, right? They have deficient in some areas, then but they do rely more on the other senses
Correct.
that are there, and so they have a more heightened awareness in
Yeah,
those
acute.
senses,
Yeah, they're-
more acute. Okay, yeah.
Sharper,
so-
sharper.
So yeah, I mean it's right, but it's all becomes relative. Okay, so all right, so we need to break free from these illusions, right? You know, we're in this rat race, right? So we're all pursuing all these things, the material stuff, all these forms which you know are illusory. We think it's real because of those 5 skandhas, right? We believe that, so we think it's real and we're pursuing it, but it's a rat race. Okay, so it's just like you know, that cycle of samsara. Okay, so how do we have to break free from this, right? So we have to find the truth in all this illusion, right? So basically, you know, break out and reach that the goal of enlightenment, basically, or free ourselves from that rat race. Okay, so we have to learn to let go, right? We have to let go what? Relinquishment first. Well, the pursuit of all these things, material things, right? These external stuff, that's not real. They don't last, right? These are things that don't last. Yes, they may last a lifetime, but that's only one lifetime, right? So we have to take the bigger view. If we take a short-term view, yeah, okay. You know, maybe some people they're happy with that. you know, they don't know what's going to happen in the next life, or if there is a next life, so they don't care. But you know, that's going to end up in suffering. Okay, so yeah, wealth, of course, is very fleeting, or any of these things are fleeting, can be fleeting, right? Anyone who's invested in the stock market knows that in one instant it can all be gone. And now I've experienced that, you know. But okay, so pursuit of magic or supernatural abilities, these are also things that are not, again, they only last for a short while, you know, like this lifetime maybe.
Temporary.
It's all temporary. And, you know, as a Buddha, they do have abilities.
Yeah.
I mean, they can see everything, they
Six
know
supernatural
everything, you know,
powers.
all these things, but, you know, it's not, once you have it, I guess, you know, at that level, there's no need to use it, really. I mean, it's not like it becomes something special. So, but because we don't have it, you know, we think it's special, so that's what people like to pursue it. But again, those are things that cause us to become attached and have desires that you know, maybe if we don't have the virtue, hey, I'm going to use these powers for my own good, right? And so it becomes selfish, right? The four images of Marx's existence. Okay, I mentioned that before. The three minds as well. Okay, so these are things that we need to try to. You have to let go of these things, really. Otherwise, we're going to be trapped in this whole big illusion, right? All right. So where is that truth, though? Where can we find this truth? You know, if everything is relative, there's no absolute here. Well, the truth is actually hidden in plain view. It's everywhere, right? We just have to be able to see it. Use the right perspective to see the truth. Okay, so because the Tao is everywhere, right? The Tao, we say Tao is it's omnipresent. It pervades everything, and so because the Tao is the truth, so the truth is everywhere as well. So it's not a question of if and how we perceive. Well, I'm sorry. So it is a question of how we perceive the truth and if we can perceive it.
So that's the proper view, proper
Yeah.
understanding.
So again, this is within those five skandhas. We have to understand those five skandhas, that process. Once we understand that process, then we can know like where we need to work on to try to break out of that. Okay. So if we don't find the truth outside, right? The X-Files, right? The truth is out there, right? Truth is out there. Well, yeah, that may be a partial truth that's out there, but the real truth is inside. Okay, it's really inside. Okay, oops, sorry. The truth is hidden inside, right? We all have that Buddha nature, right? That conscience, right? The truth is there. Okay.
Well, it's important. Why is the truth not out there? Even though we say, oh, the Tao's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So, everything you can say is the Tao,
Yeah.
or all is one, right? Okay. So why is it the truth is not out there? Come on. That's the whole point of Buddha nature class. Okay, that's the whole point. The essence, the essence, the core is in the answer there. What's that question? Why?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Remember the Eightfold Path? We talk about what's the what's the three Dharma seals, right? Remember? What's one of them?
Anicca.
No say. Well,
Anatta,
and no self.
Anatta.
No self. Anatta. So objects, phenomena has no self.
Right.
Get it? So what? So where is the true self? So who has the true self? You can say, what has the true self? You.
Right.
We. So that's why it's inside us. Get it? It's not in this object. It's not in the sun. It's not in the cosmos someplace floating around. It's not the dark energy or whatever they call it, dark matter, dark energy, whatever, white energy, I don't know, black hole, white hole, who knows, whatever. It's not there because they don't have the true self. Get it? It's anatta.
Yeah.
That's very important. Anatta. We gotta recognize that. No self, no essence.
Yeah, no essence. I mean, those are all phenomena, and
Correct.
which is
Those are
created from
functions.
They are
You can say, or manifestations
from
of the essence.
from that essence, from that truth. Okay.
But the only uniqueness of unique phenomena or object that has the essence is who? Sentient beings.
Right.
That's the key. That's the key. So that's why we have to search within.
Yeah.
Get it? Not out there.
Right.
So therefore the truth is not out there. Even though you say out there, you can say it's a manifestation or application or function of the truth. So Big Bang, that's a function of the essence, the truth, the self. Yeah, we say self, the essence. But we, unfortunately, also has the essence. Otherwise, why cultivate? Why have the Tao? Why pursue the truth? If we have no essence, why bother, right? That's
Yeah.
the key. Okay?
Yeah. So we are different than the phenomena.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Important.
of course, the truth part. I said a partial truth is out there because, again, how the phenomena appears or forms follows a certain truth,
Right,
principles.
right.
Okay, principles of nature, principles of the laws of physics, all those things. All right. So those are derived from the
functions.
absolute
Those are
truth.
functions,
Okay,
right.
those are derived from the absolute principles. Okay. All right. So, but ultimately, really, form and formlessness are one. Okay. So this is right. This is
oneness.
in the Heart Sutra, or actually a lot of the sutras, they all talk about that. All right. So you can say that truth and illusion are one. Okay. They're both two sides of the same. Well, yeah, the same essence. Okay. The
Yeah.
same truth. All right. But all right. So again, Yeah, so we have to find the truth within, let our Buddha nature, let our conscience be our guide. That is really what's the most important thing. That is as close to being the absolute as we can, okay? Everything else is all relative, right? Okay, so, the thing that we saw earlier, this thing that showed that it seems to be tilted, right? So if we get rid of,
Those two triangles.
no,
right?
it's not the triangles. Where's this going on here?
It's the lines inside.
What's going on? Okay, here we go.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's true.
So now you see that it's
It looks
looks not proper.
level, it
Okay.
looks level, right, level.
So we get rid of the distraction. Okay, those lines were a distraction
Illusion,
that
yeah.
caused that illusion.
Phenomena.
Okay, so we can get rid of those, then that's it. All right. So again, when we seek the truth, we have to filter out the stuff that causes us to see things the wrong way. All right. So again, all right. So talk about the truth, the Four Noble Truths. Right. This is one of the truths in the universe, you can say. Right. Some very important that we have to understand. Dukkha, right? The first one is that there is suffering. That as sentient beings, we do suffer in this world, and that suffering comes. The next one. Okay, so we can go into detail about what types of suffering.
You should, suffering is not wrong, but I think it's very narrow.
Yeah. I mean,
We should say it's imperfect.
Yeah, it's imperfect, right,
dissatisfactory,
dissatisfaction, all those things,
unsatisfactory, impermanent, everything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, because these then when it goes into detail, right? These are all sufferings, right? Birth, aging, illness, death.
Correct.
Being with those that are displeasing, things that are
The eight,
displeasing,
sorry.
right? That's part of the 8. Separation from what we like, right? Not getting what we want, right? Unsatisfied, and then clinging to those 5 skandhas. Okay, so those skandhas play a big role in our suffering. So we have to know how to try to cut it off, right? Or trying to see things in a way that doesn't affect us. The second one then is the origin of the suffering, right? It comes from our ignorance, ultimately, really our desires and attachments, right? That lead to karma and samsara. Again, those are coming from the 5 skandhas, okay? So, but then Buddha says that, yes, there is a way that that the suffering can end, okay? Then that's nirvana. That's you can say it's the opposite
state.
that's the opposite of the suffering state, right? It's a state of non-suffering or a state of bliss, right? So we can achieve that, and we do that through the last one, right? Through what Buddha will say, use the Eightfold Path as a way to get there, all right? So having the right views, right? So again, remember, we're talking about illusions, so that's all the false views. So we have to get the right view, have right intentions, right speech, right actions, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Okay, so all these things, they all add up, and then so we need to try to follow this way, and that's why we're here to learn all these things, to try to help us, see through all the illusions. Okay. All right, so now we finally get to some holy teachers' words about this stuff. Okay, so again, people pursue all sorts of material things, but in the end, it all becomes empty, right? Again, this is you have to say, this is spoken from a Buddhist perspective, of course, eternal perspective, right? So they see us, each lifetime to them is like the blink of an eye, okay? So because, how do you compare one lifetime, even if it's 100 years, to eternity, right? It's nothing. All right, so in the end, it becomes empty. Yeah, when we die, nothing. We can't take any of it with us. He says that money runs faster than we can. Right? It's like you try to pursue money. We only have 2 legs. Money runs with 4 legs. Runs faster than we can't keep up. Right? So yeah, money can be slippery. Right? It can slip away too. So we should spend more time trying to pursue the truth. Okay, that is something that's more lasting. Plus, we don't have to chase after it, right? The truth is within us. We just have to dig it out. We have to, be able to find it. Those who seek favor, right, may not necessarily cultivate and achieve, okay? So basically, this is talking about this relativeness, okay? So, some people, they think, oh, yeah, I can start achieving by, it's like, well, let's say in society, right? People who kind of brown nose and they do such as things, flatter people to say, try to gain, promotions or whatever, right? But well, but Holy Teacher, of course, is talking about cultivation. So in cultivating, right, if we do that kind of thing, we may not necessarily succeed in cultivation. Likewise, those who are ignored, right, may not necessarily not cultivate well. Okay, so they can also succeed. So it doesn't depend on the conditions, in other words, that we're in, right? It all depends on us, whether we decide we want to cultivate and we want to achieve. Okay. So does a Buddha or saint exist only in form? You know, Buddha, Holy Teacher asks, you know, do they only manifest in channeling? You know, for us in the Tao community, right? We shouldn't be obsessed with seeing and hearing them in person. That's just a form. It's, you know, the Buddhists constantly remind us that the channeling is just a false form. Okay, they're just borrowing this form to try to communicate with us direct in a way that we are familiar with and maybe comfortable with. But ultimately, again, if we are not careful, we get attached to the form, right? And not the essence, which is the truth that they're talking about. Okay, so we have to try to grab the truth, sift out the form, the illusion from the truth. Okay. Likewise, the Buddhists have said, you know, when they channel and they talk about stuff and they say things that are not proper or are not truthful, we should not listen to it. Okay, so it's not, don't just say, oh, because it's the Buddha said it, that we should believe it, right? So again, we have to break through the forms, because that's just, you know, being attached to a form, saying, oh, it's the Buddha who said it. Okay, but the Buddha is not the truth. Again, you know, that's just a form. All right, so that's something very important to understand. Okay, the Buddhas are always present. Okay, so even though, you know, through channeling, yeah, we may see, or we see a form, a manifestation, but when they don't channel, they're always around us. Okay, so that means that we always have to be careful what we say, what we do, because they're watching. Okay, and especially, you know, as cultivators, there's several different Buddhas or saints or angels, right, who are watching us, recording what we do and say and think even. All right, so don't think that, oh, no one's around, I can do whatever I want, right? Secret. There's no secret. There are no secrets. Okay, so everything is being recorded and watched. All right. Okay, so the root of suffering comes from our reluctance to let go of greed, desires, and attachments. Again, that's true. You know, so we have to be able to let go of these things. We think, yeah, oh, I have this great stuff. I have a great phone. I have a great house, big, nice car. But ultimately, that leads to suffering. The more desires that we have, the more worries and vexations we have, right? I mean, I used to always worry about, oh, you know, what am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with that? You know, it's things that I have. Once I don't have these things, I don't have those worries anymore, right? So you know, we feel free. The more we want, the less satisfied we are, right? Because we can never always satisfy our wants and desires. So it becomes like an insatiable appetite, or, you know, like that scratch you can't, that itch that we can't scratch. You know, it's like it's insatiable. Okay. Okay, so we have to overcome the greed and attachments through giving and relinquishment. Okay, so that's the first of the 6 paramitas, right? To give, charity, to give up even, right? Relinquish. Okay, so that is, by doing that, it's kind of like the opposite. It is the opposite thing. But by doing that, if we can force ourselves, we have to force ourselves to do that initially, right? But once we start doing it, it becomes natural. Then it's no longer forced. And once we start doing that, then that does lessen our greed and attachments. Okay. Then eventually, when we don't have any greed and attachments, you know, it's just very natural. All right. So we can perform 3 types of merits, right, to benefit others. Okay. Merits are those things that we do that benefit others, not benefit ourselves. Okay. That's not those. Benefiting ourselves is not merit. All right. So we can do material charity, of course. We can ferry sentient beings and giving kind words and teachings, right? So we can talk to people and bring people to receive Tao. And we can spend time and effort to help in the Tao affairs, in the temple, etc. Okay, so there are generally 3 different types of giving, you know, and performing merits. Okay, all right. Also, Holy Teacher says, don't be focused or obsessed with these merits either. Okay, so we know that, yeah, people say, oh, okay, if you do this, you get so many merits. You do that, you get more merits. Once we start focusing on the amount, then that's also a form, right? And it's not just that; it becomes like greed. Say, I want more of this, right? It's not so that's also false or illusion. The true view or the true way to look at it is that I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. It's what I should be doing. Okay, so don't think of, oh, I'm going to get so many merits, right? Then we become attached to the form. Once we do that, then it's no longer a true merit. Okay. All right, so we must not rely on forms, but rather understand the true principles, that underlie these forms. So that's, again, all the sutras are all talking about this point, all right? We follow the true principles of our innate goodness and conscience in any situation in life, again. So, we don't have to learn, say, oh, in this situation A, you do this. In situation B, you do this. In situation C, you do this. But all we need to do is learn the principle behind it, and then we can apply it to any situation. It's like once you learn a formula, right? You can plug in different numbers, right, and use that formula. So that's what we have. That's what we want to learn. Unfortunately, people, they get stuck on a particular, let's say not the principle, but the application of that principle. Say, oh, in this situation, I do this because of this principle. Let's say compassion or whatever. I should do it this way. But then in a different situation, I apply the same thing. I do it the same way, but that may not be correct. It may not be appropriate. Okay, so just like Confucius or any of the sages and saints or Buddhas, when they talk to their disciples, they answer the disciples' questions, right? One asks about filial piety, and Confucius answers it in a certain way. Another disciple asks about filial piety. He answered differently, which may sound contradictory, but they're not. Okay, he's talking from the same principle, but because the application, the situation is different, right? So we have to realize that principles can be absolute, but the application is relative, conditional. The principle is unconditional, but the application is conditional.
Yeah.
So that's very important to understand.
Or function.
That we cannot take one situation and apply it to another. Okay, that's the wrong way to look at it.
Rigid view.
Yeah. Okay. So we can learn moral principles in temple, right? Even with wealth and fame, what are we if we have no virtues? So virtues are very important, right? The wealth and fame, that's the external aspect of things, but we have that inside. What's really true, these virtues, right? Again, material stuff that can disappear, that can change anytime, okay? So that won't last. Okay, spend time and effort to nurture those virtues. Okay, so that's why it's very important to do that. All right. So cultivate. Okay, Holy Teacher also says cultivating Tao is easy, but cultivating our heart and mind is difficult. Yes, that's true. The Tao is actually pretty easy to cultivate. It's just the problem is we are our own biggest enemy, our own biggest obstacle to actually achieving enlightenment. Right? Our ego. Again, it goes down to that 4 images. Okay. We must not cultivate based on feelings or sentiments. Okay, so we say Lenjing Dao, the human sentiment, right? How, like and dislike, right? We cannot cultivate based on that, right? Oh, I like this person, so I'll listen to this person. I'll follow this person. I'll do whatever. I don't like this person. I'm going to ignore this person. We can't cultivate that way. We cannot achieve enlightenment that way. Okay, we have to let go of the 4 images, marks of existence. Okay. Do not contend with others, right? When we have subject-object duality, we tend to contend with others, all right? We don't view everyone as equals. We don't view everyone as me, right? I am you, you are me, okay? So you have to stop doing that. We have to be more tolerant and magnanimous, of course, so that broaden our view, broaden our mind, broaden our heart to encompass everyone as one. So we are all one, right? That way, that's a completely different view than me and you, okay? So, and this is the view you can say God's view, right? God is one with all of us. So that is being more like closer to God, closer to the Buddhas. Broaden our heart and mind. Okay, we can embrace nature, look at nature, learn from nature, right? Nature is so vast. It provides everything for us, right? We can see the trees, mountains, oceans, see how big, great they are, and learn to be as great and as tolerant, as magnanimous. Okay. All right. Okay. So, teacher also says, Buddha helps those who help themselves, right? So we always, again, because we focus on the forms, on the external stuff, that we say, I have to ask Buddha for help. But Buddha keeps reminding us, where is the Buddha? The Buddha's inside of us. Okay, so we should be asking ourselves, our Buddha nature, for help. Okay, so asking for the external Buddha to help is not going to do anything if we don't do anything, if we don't help ourselves. All right. So when we do the kato, the bowing, right? Remember that we are acknowledging and respecting our own Buddha nature, the Buddha within. All right, we're not bowing to the statues. That's just a form. Okay, and if people think that, then they're mistaken. Okay, so we're really bowing and recognizing that the Buddha is within us, and we are reflecting on that Buddha within. We don't recognize the Buddha within, then we cannot succeed in cultivation. Yeah, ultimately, everything we're just pursuing the external cultivation, which is, it's like a shell. It's an empty shell. What's the essence is missing. Okay, and that essence is inside. So recognizing the essence, the Buddha within. So we also cannot depart from the golden thread, right? This is our link back to heaven. Okay, the link to achieving nirvana. And so that's how we got into the Tao. Someone brought us in, and we follow that link up through the predecessors and the patriarchs. Okay. So that is how we can. So we should not depart from that. Don't say, there's this. I heard about this master out there. He knows a lot. He can do a lot of things. Powers, and you go pursue that. Or even, that again, that's going to deviate. And when that happens, it's very dangerous. We cut our link to return back to, to transcend this samsara. Then it's dangerous. All right. So the truth and principles have no form. Okay, so the conclusion. If we are attached to the forms, we cannot realize the truth. Okay, so again, we're the truth is there, but if we're looking at just essentially like the surface and not looking at the essence, then we don't see the truth. But at the same time, if we focus on emptiness, nothing there,
Right.
and we cannot appreciate the forms either.
So those are two extremes.
Yeah.
So you could say 非有非空. Yeah. 非有, neither
Yeah.
form and neither emptiness.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so it's a combination. So that trisyllogism, right? I see a mountain, it's a mountain. Next I learn about this truth, and I say, oh no, it's no longer a mountain.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't last, so it's fake. But then the true enlightened view is, it is. It still is. It is what it is. Essentially, it is what it is. Okay, it just is. Right. So there's no opinion about it. We don't make a judgment. All right. Okay. So to see the truth in a world of illusion, right, we must discard the distractions and temptations that we talk about, right? Filter out all these things. Unfortunately, we have this built-in mechanism, if you will, that the 5 skandhas that kind of cause us to have illusions and believe in illusions. Okay, so we have to understand. That's why the only way to break out of that is to understand the principles, the true principles. Once we understand that, then that can help us to break those illusions, right? Okay. So let go of all attachments to all forms, material, mind, or dharma, okay? So even the dharma, the teachings, are not necessarily, they are true, but they may not be always, again, we cannot be stuck on that
They're
and
just
say,
a guide.
they're a guide to
Because
get
they're
us
a
there.
tool, too.
Yeah, there are tools, right? Tools have their application, right? You don't use a hammer
And
to
limitations.
screw in a screw, right? So again, they have to be used appropriately. And so let go of 4 images again, especially the self, the ego, right? So in the Bible it says, deny yourself and carry the cross, right? So that is letting go of that ego, that self, and carry this cross, which is that true nature, okay? Follow that true nature. All right, so let go of the 3 minds again, the past, present, future. So time and space, we have to let go of these forms, these relative forms. They're all illusionary, right? Develop our mindfulness and awareness, right? So in doing all that, if we can start letting go and practice this, then our mindfulness, our awareness will increase, our wisdom will increase, right? Like especially letting go of our attachments. And then ultimately, Tao is very normal, so we live a life of normality, okay? So don't have to pursue all these extremes or anything that's special, right? That's special abilities, things like that. Tao is ordinary, regular, natural, simple, right? Basically, when it's, it's like a baby, right? When it's time to eat, you cry, he wants to eat, right? It's time to go to the bathroom, he goes to the bathroom. But, there's nothing really special, okay? So Tao is an everyday life, right? So it's not about meditation or I have to, meditate or I have to do certain kind of Qigong practice. No, it's not none of that stuff. Those things can help us maybe, but don't be obsessed with those things. Don't focus on those
No,
things.
because those practices are still a form.
Yeah, it's just the
Still
form. That helps the
form.
form,
Even
the body.
meditation.
That helps the body.
Right. Even meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a form.
Yeah, I mean, it can help your mind, right?
Right,
It
right,
de-
right.
Develop your mind.
Right.
But again, remember, the mind is also a form, so we have to be careful, right? So okay, so that's basically it. So Tao, so again, illusion is everywhere, but we need to be able to see through the illusion to see the truth.
Yeah, so your second bullet point
Yeah.
is basically proper mindfulness,
Yeah.
proper concentration, all that.
Right.
That's what that is.
Right.
The first one is more like proper view, proper
Yeah.
understanding, proper.
Yeah. So this is all part of the Eightfold Path.
Yeah, you can say, yeah,
really.
Eightfold
These
Path is-
different
it's
aspects
in
of it.
there.
Yeah.
It's in
Yeah.
there.
So okay. So that's time's up. If I had said anything wrong or unsatisfactory, I ask the Buddhist for forgiveness and also your corrections. Thank you.